Welcome to this episode of IIMCreate, the IIM Calcutta Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation webinar series that features successful IIM Calcutta alum in the domain of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurial ventures launched by IIM Calcutta alumni have had substantial impact in India and around the world, creating millions of jobs with sizable revenues to spur economic and social development. The IIMCreate channel celebrates their achievements and accomplishments. Our guest today is Mr. K. Ganesh, the very successful and accomplished serial entrepreneur, partner GrowthStory.in, and promoter at BigBasket, Portea Medical, Bluestone, HomeLane, HouseJoy, HungerBox, FreshMenu, and various other companies. Mr. K. Ganesh successfully launched 4 greenfield ventures that include IT and T, Customer Asset and Tutor Vista, which he exited subsequently. He currently runs GrowthStory.in, a leading venture builder platform that promotes and incubates 10 new ventures along with other entrepreneurs. He ventured into entrepreneurship in 1990 when the concept of first generation professionals turning into entrepreneurs was very rare. He has also served as CEO of Bharti British Telecom. He is a mechanical engineer from DCE, Delhi University, before coming to IIM Calcutta to pursue his MBA. He is a distinguished alumnus of both DU and IIM Calcutta and has also served as member board of governors of the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, as well as founder director at IIM Calcutta Innovation Park and Incubation Cell. Our immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Ganesh to this episode. With me are Dr. Shubhranshu Sanyal, CEO of IIMC Innovation Park, and Mr. Jaideep Saindel, who is in the MBA second year and is also the president of the IIMC E-Cell. I will start off with my question. Mr. Ganesh, you started at a time when first generation entrepreneurs were rare and even rarer amongst highly qualified professionals with top jobs. What was your motivation to get into the path of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's quite accidental as it happens with many entrepreneurs. After IIM Calcutta, I had a campus job with Hindustan Computers, what is now HCL Limited. I was executive assistant to Shiv Nadar. I joined there because I wanted to join a small company. At that time, HCL was just a 30 crore company. And I had offers from Hindustan Unilever and Citibank from IIM Calcutta. But I didn't want to join a large company. I wanted to join a small company and I joined HCL. And that I think spurred me into entrepreneurship because at that time, HCL was a very small company in a high growth industry. There were no systems or processes there. So we pretty much were allowed a free hand to do what we could do. And HCL is also very entrepreneurial. Shiv Nadar himself was a first generation entrepreneur. So all of that came together. When I actually worked there for 5 years, I realized that I was able to take decisions, implement decisions as a 24-year-old IIM graduate. And those decisions actually worked. That gave me the confidence to start on my own. The motivation was that if I can do this for HCL, I can do this for myself. And that was the opportunity. I always think that if I had taken up the other 2 jobs from IIM Calcutta campus, Unilever, Hindustan Unilever, Citibank, I would still be in a corporate, okay, right? So like many times it is serendipity and accidentally it happens.
Great. Over the last 3 decades, since you have been starting new ventures, the world has changed. So has the ecosystem. What do you see as the changes, positive and negative?
1990 was when I started my first venture. That was the time when India had just gone out of license Raj, liberalization was happening. But still at that time, first generation entrepreneurship was not there. You had only business empires or business families, and any entrepreneurship meant having a factory, having a land, having a chimney. Service industries do not exist. Software did not exist. You had only professional services like lawyers or accountant, but other than that, there's no concept. In fact, I distinctly remember when I left the HCL job and started entrepreneurship, people were aghast. Why is a guy who is having a good job, paying well, has he been laid off? Has he got a health problem? Why is it that he is leaving? That was the situation. On the government side, I remember roughly around 40 different clearances were needed at that time. There was hardly any ecosystem available. When I say today, when I compare it today, the world has completely changed for entrepreneurs. Multiple things have magically come together in the last 10 years to make entrepreneurship easy, affordable, and worth attempting. Starting from investor ecosystem, risk capital, venture capital fund, angel investors, mentors and advisors, organizations like TIE, incubators and accelerator, and your IIM Calcutta incubation cell is one great example. So much of support is available. So on the other side, societally it is acceptable to become an entrepreneur thanks to the glamour and thanks to all the front page media and valuations that people talk about. So, but it has also become very easy. Government policies, registration, setting up the business on the cloud, reducing cost of capital expenditure to start. I think all of that, in addition to the entire ecosystem, has changed tremendously today as compared to at that time.
You're really an icon, and I'm sure you would be motivating many youngsters to get into this path. I will hand over now to Shubhranshu for further questions.
Hi Ganesh, we are meeting after a long time, that too virtually.
Hi.
So happy to see you. Now, from IIM Calcutta Innovation Park side, when we started, Ganesh being one of our founder director, we were extremely fortunate to have Ganesh as a founder director, because IIM Calcutta Innovation Park started like a startup only. And the tips and advice that we received from Ganesh, I am following it till date, and that has been instrumental behind the success of IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. So my heartfelt gratitude, Ganesh.
Thank you.
And still, like anytime I am in trouble, I call Ganesh that Ganesh, can you advise on this? So Ganesh, that's the value that you bring into the startup ecosystem, and I am a live example of that. Now, one experience that we have while working with startup, that the success rate of startups are very low, right? In our cohort, hardly 10% makes it to the next, 10 to 15% makes it to the next level, which is the scale-up level. Now, if I look at your track record, you have been creating a large number of enterprises, and the success rate is very high. You had exits. I mean, the entire story is absolutely fabulous. So our startups would like to know, Ganesh, that what is that secret mantra? What is the mantra that you follow which leads to this high success rate? Is there any secret that you would like to share with our startup founders, Ganesh?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the very kind words, and congrats, Shubhranshu, for the success of IIM Calcutta Innovation Park and Incubation Cell. When we started, like you said, like an absolute startup, and you are the first CEO, and great to see the number of companies that are coming out of it. So congratulations to you, to your team at IIMC, and you have really literally built a startup as the co-founder of that. Coming to your question, no, actually, I've been very fortunate to have great success. There have been many failures too, but we generally don't like to talk about that. We talk about successes. But some of the things that I have personally seen and believe, and I have used, and this is my way of looking at it, not really it. See, entrepreneurship is very hard. The percentage chances of success is actually low, like you mentioned, as people will know. So what is it that you can do to increase your chances of success? It is like typical in probability, and I was taught that at IIM Calcutta only, that you have expected value of return. Okay, right? It's a bit depends upon what is the probability multiplied by what is the quantum of the outcome. Now, if the probability is low to get a high outcome, you need to attempt things which have got major returns, so that even at low probability, the chances of success, the quantum of success or the kind of outcome will be big. What it means in case of startup is, anybody starting up, let's assume the chances of success are very low. So how do you make it worth your while? So attempt things that are really huge, transformative, big, so that when you succeed, even though the percentage is low, when you succeed, the probability multiplied by the quantum of the outcome will be substantial. So tip number one is attempt big challenges, big problems, go for large market, go for not lifestyle business in case of a typical startup, but go for things that you can, that will have transformative scale, so that if you fail, it's okay. But if you win, the win will be big. So that is one. For example, whether it is healthcare, education, grocery, these are all large sectors. The size of the market is large. It is not a niche play. Let me give you an example. If you had to do a, say, an online jewelry store for pets in India, okay, right? Now, that's a very niche play, okay? Chances of winning are very low, as always with any startup. But even if you win, the size of the market is small. How many people in India have pets? How many of them would like to buy jewelry for their pets? Out of those people who want to buy jewelry for the pets, how many of them would like to buy online? How many of those will you be able to reach? How many of them will be able to convert? It's such a small market. There is no point in doing a startup in that, because even with the low probability of success, if you win, the win will not be large. So I think that is something which is one. The second, I think, tip for success, for increasing your chances of success, is in India, people pay for big pain points. India, people pay for must have, not good to have, but must have. They pay for painkillers rather than vitamins. That's a simple analogy. So go for sectors where, follow the money where they will pay. Grocery, healthcare, education, roti, kapda, makan, entertainment, education, and healthcare. These are 6 you cannot go wrong. People will pay. They don't expect it free. Okay, right? So that's a chance of success. As compared to, for example, starting a Bollywood portal. Now, Bollywood and cricket are top interest in India, but people don't pay for it. So those are two simple tips. Think big, attempt big challenges. Even if you fail spectacularly, number one. Number two, follow the money, must have big pain points rather than nice to have.
Thank you, Ganesh. I remember, again, in our earlier days, you have given a simple formula to the startups that you should look for a big need, a real need, a big need, and people should be willing to pay. I still use these 3 principles when we do the boot camps, Ganesh. So fantastic, these 2 tips, I think it will go a long way helping the startups. Now, the next question is, again, another challenge that we see with our startups is that they are, they have real big problem sharing their equity, right? They don't want to part with their equity, right? Now, you have created several companies, you have exited several companies, right? And you keep on, like a serial entrepreneur, you move on, right? So I have 3 questions related to this, which I think you are the best person to answer. First thing is, any tips for the entrepreneurs who has issues, sharing equity, okay, while they are growing. The second question is that you have exited so many times where the potential of the company was still quite big. You would have made it much larger. So how do you decide whether you want to hold on or whether you want to exit, right? That's the next question, which I would like to know. And when do you decide to sell, actually go for the exit? These are the 3 questions. First is some tips for the startups that, who has this mind block in sharing equity, exiting, selling, all those kind of stuff. And then from your perspective, this hold versus sell, what are the typical trigger points that, that worked for you?
Yeah, no, so the first question is a great question, and very often get asked this. So my answer is simple. See, 100% of 0 is 0. I would rather have 1% of $1 billion than have 100% of $1 million, right? So 1% of $1 billion is 10 million. Okay, that is 10 times more. Secondly, entrepreneurship, like we mentioned, startup is very, very hard and low probability of success. So when you are starting at early stages, whatever you can do to increase your chances of success is welcome. And one of the ways to increase the chances of success is to have co-founders, give them equity, have core employees, give them equity, take help for advisors and mentors, give them equity, enroll in programs like accelerators and incubators in case your business model demands it, give them some equity, or in addition to all of that stuff, take risk capital through venture capitalists, through angel investors. Capital is very important. So get the capital in and dilute equity. I've never been shy of diluting equity because given the low percentage chances of success, I as an entrepreneur or founder would like to do everything possible to increase the chance of success. So don't look at any percentages at all. If the outcome is big, even a small percentage will be substantial for you. If the outcome is small, it doesn't matter whether you have 100% or 50% or 40%. So completely ignore this concept and myth about having low equity and all of that stuff. Okay, right? Just think about it this way. Okay, right? Similarly, I mean, the greatest example, look at how much Tata's own in Tata Sons or how much Tata's owns in Tata Group companies. Okay, right? It is a small percentage. Shapurji Palanji owns more percentage. Okay, right? So it doesn't matter. Okay, right? So that's one. And two, you don't want it to fail. Raise capital. Companies don't run out because founder has less equity. Companies shut down because the last dollar or last rupee is not available. Last month's salary is not getting paid. Last expenses are not met. That's the only reason company shuts down. It has never shut down because the founder did not have 30%, he had 10%. Never. So that's one. Second, the second question about selling versus holding is a great question. Again, I get asked multiple times, including emotional questions like, this is your baby. So passionately you started, how can you sell your baby? Don't you have regrets? I mean, is this very mercenary approach? All kinds of flavors question comes up. Okay, for me personally, it has been very simple that I see myself as somebody who is good at spotting new ideas, looking at where next 5 to 10 years opportunities are, starting the business and taking it to some scale. Now, again, this is not the only way to look at it. You have people like Dell, people like Narayan Murthy, people like Azim Premji who have started companies and taken it from absolute startup to stellar multi-billion-dollar success stories, or Bill Gates. There is enough examples. So that's another way of doing it. I personally don't enjoy that. I don't personally feel I'm good at running a large organization. Otherwise, whenever I have sold my company, whether it is to Pearson or to ICICI or to iGate, I could have continued as president or CEO or CXO and all that stuff. I don't see myself. I enjoy creating this. So in my mind, my business model is to start a company, to bring it to a certain size scale and sell it, and again start one more, because there are other people much better than me who are capable, who like running it, who will do justice to it. Now, how do I decide is a great question. This is like having a fruit in your hand. When you have a fruit, it becomes ripe. You can have it at the right time to eat. What happens after some time? The fruit doesn't become riper. It actually deteriorates. Okay. So everything has got a certain life cycle. The way entrepreneurs should look at it is, the company is at current stage. Is it better off with me running it? Or it's better off somebody else running it, or is better off being part of a larger organization. Now that determines whether to keep it or sell it or merge it or get acquired. All of that depends upon what is the best outcome for all the stakeholders. Founders is one, investors are the other, because as a founder, when you raise money, you have a fiduciary responsibility to return the money to investor. There is no point in holding on to a fruit and the fruit deteriorates and rots and the value is completely lost. A raw fruit will not sell well. A ripe fruit will sell well, but riper, it will destroy value. That's one approach of when. Other thing I like to mention is a personal approach. See, take example of a nursery and a gardener. There are people who are very good in running nurseries. What do? They take seed, they plant the seed, it becomes a sapling, and they sell the sapling. Now, you don't go to a nursery owner and ask, hey, why are you selling the sapling? Why can't you make it into a tree and an orchard and get the fruits and sell the fruits and make money for next 25 years? No, that's not the nursery business model. The orchard business model is for a gardener. What does he do? He buys the sapling, he will plant the tree, nurture the tree, make the tree, and for 30 years, harvest the tree or harvest the fruits of the tree, sell the fruit, make it into a jam and sell. So these are two distinct business models of a nursery gardener and an orchard gardener. I see myself as a guy who is capable, who enjoys, who likes to do nursery gardening. So I stick to that. But I do have a lot of respect for other business model as well.
Thanks, Ganesh. What I like about your advices is that you use so easy to understand examples, which clarifies, real difficult questions or challenges. So thank you so much, Ganesh. And
thank you.
And with your permission, we'll use this advice for our various boot camps for the startups. I hope you don't mind if we use it.
Sure, please.
Yeah. So now over to Jaideep for the next round of questions. Thank you, Ganesh.
So like you mentioned before, that entrepreneurship has a very low success rate and it's not for everyone. So how would you suggest that someone young evaluate between a corporate job and venturing into entrepreneurship? What is the right time? Is it fresh after college or building a career and then starting something of your own?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Again, a lot of youngsters ask me that. And what has happened is that over the last 10 years, my answer has also been changing because changes in the environment, changes in the ecosystem, acceptance of entrepreneurship, and the resources available for entrepreneurship. So the same question 5 years back and 10 years back would have had a different answer. See, currently, I think it's very simple. We are living in a place where the opportunities are humongous. The disruption is humongous. Disruption because of pandemic and change in consumer behavior, disruption because of digital transformation, digital tools, disruption because of internet, low-cost smartphones, virtual world. All of that has changed the status quo, has nothing else has done in the last 100 years. Now, simple management theory, when the status quo has completely changed, why would any one of us want to play the game as per the old rules? It's like Test cricket versus T20 cricket or IPL. Today, if you have to send your brother or your son for coaching, you are not going to send him for Test cricket coaching. You're going to send him only for 2020 coaching because that is where the opportunity is. You're not going to send him. Same thing applies to everyone today who is graduate and young person. The world is conspiring to make it possible for you to start startup. So today the answer is simple. Okay. Don't go for maximizing the opportunities. Don't go for minimizing the risk. Those are the two extremes available options for you. Okay. Just like 40 years back, the best jobs were government jobs because people wanted security. Okay. Then came public sector jobs. Then they said corporate jobs, TVS Group, Tata Group, Birla Group, and all that stuff. Then came the McKinseys and Goldman Sachs of the world. Okay, right? Which are paying very high, Infosys, IT companies of the world. Okay, right? Then now it's completely changed to startup. That is what is the opportunity today. So the time to start is anytime. Right out of college is perfectly fine. Okay, right? Opportunities are so much. You will regret not maximizing other opportunities than on minimizing the risk. Now, some simple caveats do exist. If you happen to be the only earning member of your family and you need to put food on the table, you need the monthly income to sustain the monthly food and grocery and rental bills of your family. You don't have the luxury of taking that decision or taking that risk. Minus outlying extreme conditions. Okay. Startup is now. You don't know whether it's a 5-year, 10-year window for all these to come together like this. Don't miss that opportunity. It is like people getting onto IT bandwagon during the 2000 or Y2K bandwagon. When you are on when the wave is rising, every surfer will race with the wave. That's what is happening now. So start up now. Secondly, nobody ever made money by renting their time. When you're in a job, your upside is limited, which is fine when you're dependent upon the upside to put food on the table. So unless you have those extenuating circumstances, why would you want to rent your time? You create wealth. You create value by owning a part of the equity. Whether you're on a startup, whether you're a co-founder, part of a co-founding team, whatever it is. That is how you create wealth. So that would be my immediate advice at this point of time. If we change in 5 years.
So my next question is that for young entrepreneurs starting now, what would be some sectors or areas that look attractive or present great opportunities, especially in the post-pandemic era?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question, and I don't know whether I have all the answers to it, because as we speak, the third wave of pandemic is happening, Omicron has come. So this seems to be an endless thing. But some of the basics are 100% truths or global truths, which are very clear. Thanks to pandemic, the consumer behavior has changed, okay, irrevocably. Okay, right? We have seen that. We saw that in the demonetization time. After demonetization, race of fintech and digital payments, how it catapulted. Okay, right? Same thing has happened in pandemic. Because of lockdown, it has forced people to adopt, to change behavior, whether it is Zoom meetings, whether it's board meeting, whether it's television interviews on Zoom, or it is education remotely or healthcare remotely. The whole the whole environment has transformed by 5 to 10 years, accelerated the changes, which never would have happened. This is unthinkable otherwise. The fact that we will have such kind of digital transformation, digital-led consumer behavior change. Take an example. In BigBasket, which we started 10 years back, we had high-profile television advertising by Shah Rukh Khan to get people to move to e-grocery, buying groceries online. Despite hundreds of crores, despite Shah Rukh Khan, all that, we achieved success, but still it was tough to make consumers buy fruits and vegetables online. Come pandemic, come lockdown, there was no choice. People were forced to buy online because no other choice. The volumes went up 10 times. What would have taken us at least 5 to 10 years, and again further and further, hundreds of crores of advertising went up overnight because of lockdown. Now, the entire 10x will not stay as 10 times, but even if 70% of it change, you're talking about a transformational shift. Same thing is the education. Same thing with business travel and board meeting. Okay, right? So it's not going to change. So for the entrepreneurs sectors is, can you use the changed consumer behavior to launch businesses that cater to new consumer behavior? The reason for that is the old legacy companies, established players, incumbents will not be able to suddenly change. Take, for example, online education. If you're launching an online education, starting from scratch on the cloud is much better than trying to transform a large campus with hundreds of acres and hundreds of crores of investment to go online. What happens to all of that stuff? It's not possible, but you can try. So one, change consumer behavior startup. Second, there are certain areas that have seen huge amount of tailwinds. Can you play to the new sectors that have emerged because of tailwinds? Some example, people are very much concerned about immunity, about health, about fitness, because people have seen that comorbidities, diabetes, overweight, obesity, all of that leads to higher danger and higher fatality. The focus on immunity, health supplements, so that you are stronger to fight off COVID kind of diseases has been now ingrained in people's mind. So anything to do with health, immunity, wellness will fly in the new age. That's two. Third, newer things that we are seeing is the entire Web 3.0. Completely new. I myself don't know all the elements of it, whether it's Web 3.0, DAOs, NFT, crypto, blockchain, metaverse, all of that is fresh, unpenetrated virgin area, crypto exchanges, all of that. Again, if you start today, you are better or in the same place as anybody else who has been in that. So it's much better to do that than say start a factory manufacturing something wherein you are not on equal footing, you are at a disadvantage. Today, if you have to compete with an Infosys or a Wipro, you are at a disadvantage. But if you start a crypto vertical, you're not at disadvantage, you're at advantage. You're digitally native, you are young, you understand better than bald old people like me do, right? and you can launch it. So look for what are the tectonic shifts that has taken place, either because of the pandemic or because of digital transformation or because of low cost internet or internet penetration, democratization of the internet, all of that, those will be the sectors you can't go wrong. Again, in India, people pay more for large pain points must have. So follow the money and focus on the money. India is slightly different in that respect compared to this, but you can't go wrong if you follow the money in India using these basic principles.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answer. So my next question is that nowadays, India is seeing huge surge in valuation of startups. Loss-making and new age companies are getting listed at high valuations. Is this sustainable? How do you justify that? And is this a bubble?
Yeah, this is a great question. In fact, you should ask Professor Balram and other professors at IIM Calcutta to answer that. They'll be able to give you valuation models and historic this one. So this is unprecedented. Okay, right? To be honest, even I don't understand how the companies that are getting listed or even in private equity space getting valued. Unicorn is the word they use for anything that is more than $1 billion valuation. I just don't understand. Okay, right? So, and I'm saying that in all honesty and humility, that despite being part of the thing, obviously I also benefit from the increase in valuation. So I'm not complaining. I'm very happy, but don't understand. Some of the things are simple. One, on the positive side, there is a major transformation happening and scaling because of internet, digital and technology of legacy models is possible in this new age companies. Therefore, they get valued on future. Where will future be? Okay. And we have seen the successes of companies, whether it is Tesla valuation, whether it is Apple valuation. We have seen how new age companies or Google or Facebook, new age companies have come, have created value, have grown, have returned mega returns to investors, have seen that. Why? Because this is a unilateral, singular way the world is shifting and changing. So to that extent, that it is valued not as per standard metrics of earnings per share, standard metrics of profitability, discounted cash flow, all of that, free cash flow, all of that is out of the door. It has to be valued on new basis because you're talking about a future. That I understand. Now, whether a Zomato or a Nykaa or a Paytm should be valued so much, I don't know. But one thing is clear, people confuse sometimes between the value and the valuation. Value is the inherent value of the company. Valuation is based on demand supply. Now, if you have an asset, there is one asset and there are 4 people wanting to buy the asset, obviously the price will go up, the valuation goes up. The intrinsic value doesn't change. Okay. Overnight, if Paytm drops by 8%, doesn't mean the value of Paytm has changed overnight. All that it means is there are more sellers than buyers at that price. Therefore, the prices come down by 8%. We have seen over the last 10 years how people have talked about this valuation as bubble. I remember when Flipkart was valued at 200 million. They said it is a bubble. How can it be valued at 200 million when all the retail companies are not valued so much? Same thing when Uber was valued initially at $2 billion, very early days. Ashwath Damodaran, Professor Ashwath Damodaran wrote a full article on how it's overvalued and all that. Now, Uber valuation was more than the combined valuation of all car rental companies. But later, the developments have shown Uber was not competing with the car rental companies. Uber was competing in the transportation sector. Similarly, if you take Amazon, it was not a retail bookseller. It was not competing with Barnes and Nobles. It was competing with the entire retail sector, with Walmart, so as to say. It's been that. So understanding the core business model is important to appreciate the full valuation. BigBasket as an example. It is not valued because it is an e-grocery company. It is an e-grocery company. It's also a FMCG company. 40% of the sales comes from their own brands To that extent, they compete with Hindustan Unilever for that 40%. In addition to giving you eggs and milk from the local farmers. So I think that is what it is. Now, again, I don't think it's a bubble. Some of the stocks are overvalued. but I think they take into account the future and the digital transformation that is taking place. And caveat, I obviously have a vested interest in this valuation, so I will be hesitant to call it bubble. So take that with a pinch of salt or a bucket of salt as my vested interest opinion. If you want to know where to buy the bucket of salt, you can buy it in BigBasket and put IMC, and you'll get a discount of 2%.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. Sir, so there is one line of thought that says that IIM graduates get disproportionate funding and others are ignored. Is this true? And how important is an MBA or a management education in entrepreneurship? What can such institutes do better to create entrepreneurial ecosystems?
Yeah, so great question. So there has been obviously, I mean, we have had many high-profile IIT, IIM people coming out with extremely successful business models, scaling, exiting, becoming very wealthy. So this question keeps coming up, and obviously there is a herd mentality among investors and venture capitalists included to fund a typical IIT, IIM graduates. So when you come to the crux of it, I don't think it's a prerequisite. There are enough examples also of non-IIT, non-IIM founders raising money, scaling, selling the companies. Paytm Vijay Shekhar Sharma is from Delhi University Engineering College. He's not from IIT, not from IIM. Is that so? You do have examples. You do have enough examples of people who are not there. Ritesh Agarwal of OYO is not even a graduate. So is Kunal Shah of CRED, not IIT, IIM. So you have enough examples there. I don't think any investor looks at it. Obviously, the fact that you are IIT, IIM shows that you are hardworking, you are smart, you know how to crack the entrance examination, and you have good network and connection. You got exposed to a great set of people by sheer exposure. Okay, right? So it raises the bar. It raises the way you are taken more seriously. And they also know that, for example, you have great options of working in a company and getting obscene levels of salaries, as I'm sure you would do in your day zero jobs, but you're leaving all that and starting, so your motivation is higher. So to that extent, it's a sort of differentiation because of what you're going through to crack your IIT JEE or crack a CAT examination to get into IIM and all that stuff. Other than that, I don't think that is true. Second, personally for me, the MBA has been very useful, and I'm saying that not because I'm an alumni and I was on the board of the company, but quickly in a matter of 2 years, it gave me huge exposure to multiple disciplines of management, which otherwise I would not have had. So that was a great exposure. So whether directly it helped me in entrepreneurship, I don't know, but obviously I knew P&L and balance sheet and the difference between cash flow and this. As an engineer, I never learned these things in my engineering. And therefore an MBA helped me. So that helped me, but that could have been done through an accountant also. But I think the multidisciplinary approach, exposure, and in many of the MBA places, the network that you build with your colleagues and with your professors, all of that helps you in expanding your horizon. So it's very useful. Personally, I do think MBA education should undergo a major change, because most of it is still rooted in what was applicable, what was relevant many decades back. We need to adopt and change completely, and not completely, we need substantially to meet the needs of the industry at one hand and needs of entrepreneurship or startup ecosystem on the other hand. A lot can be done because a 2-year MBA is a lot. In fact, I just finished offering a full-time, full-credit course at IIM Bangalore on new age business models. I'm based in Bangalore, that's why I'm Bangalore. I am new age business models. There is a full credit course elective where we talked about all the new business models, including valuation, platform, network effect, and valuations of these new age companies, all of those including case studies. Now, a lot more of this needs to be brought into this because so much has changed in the last 5 years. So I think there's a great opportunity for us to be able to do it. And on this question, if you get an opportunity to do an MBA from a good institute, top institute, 2 years is a time worth spent. On the other hand, if you have a burning idea which you're passionate about, The MBA can wait. You can learn it on the job. Go ahead and do it as people like non-MBAs have done.
Thank you, sir. And definitely your advice has been very helpful, and it will be really inspiring for the viewers. And sir, as we come to the close of the interview, we would like to know about your experience at IIM Calcutta. And as an alumni, could you share your memories of your life at IIMC and the teachers who inspired you, and about your friendships that you have acquired at the campus?
Yeah, sure. So, are you a quizzer? Do you do quiz?
No, sir. Not
Okay, no. Okay, so the quiz was about 23rd, 24th of June, 1983. Any idea why is that? Ring a bell? Okay, for me, it was two things why I remember that date very, very vividly and clearly etched in my memory. Okay, right. First was that was the day when I traveled from Jamshedpur to Calcutta to join IIM Calcutta. The first time I entered the campus. It's memorable for two reasons. One, that was the day when India won the World Cup. Okay, we were listening to it in transistor radio. First World Cup was won there. Second, that was also the first time I met Meena. Okay, right? Who it was love at first sight, and I ended up marrying her. She's my wife since then. So it's memorable for two reasons. So for me, the best thing I got at IIM Calcutta was not education, was actually Meena. Okay, right. So which again is a good message. Okay, right. While all education and experiences, everything is great, if you can find a good partner, your life is set. And I have been extremely fortunate to be able to do that. So secondly, like I mentioned, I came from an engineering background. I really enjoyed interacting with multidisciplinary professors at IIM Calcutta, right? And I distinctly remember Professor Ramu, who used to teach us financial accounting. He's there, settled in Kerala now, he's retired, okay, right? He taught us financial accounting, debit and credit and all of that stuff, which was very, I remember Professor Sudhas Roy, who happens to be IIM Calcutta alumni and was a marketing professor at that time. I think he's from first batch of IIM Calcutta. He was teaching us marketing, and Philip Kotler was the guru at that time. I don't know whether still you have Philip Kotler books or not, but that was the time. It was very fascinating to learn marketing there. I remember distinctly Professor Gaurango, who used to teach us behavioral sciences. Okay, right. And his behavioral science again was something we had never heard of in engineering. So Professor Gaurango was a great relation. So many fond and great memories. At that time, we used to have boating on the lake. So we used to do boating on the lake, which is very fine. Some of the challenges was that was the first time really I was staying in a hostel, because both my schooling as well as my engineering was done from home. I was a day scholar. First time I learned to live independently in a hostel with friends. So that was a great learning experience on how to do it. We used to have only one main hall hostel. What is Ramanujam hostel now? Only one hostel that is there, and used to have a mess. And it is the food was extremely underwhelming. There was no canteens and there was no coffee day, nothing else available. So we used to joke about how the sambar, because we had huge number of people from South India. We used to have everyday sambar and dal made in the mess. And sambar and dal both used to look the same, and they used to taste the same. There was no difference in taste or color or anything like that. I don't know how things are now, but it used to be there. But now you have other options. There was no other option. So the standard joke used to be how to differentiate between sambar and dal. You take 2 spoons of it, pour it on the table. If it goes towards the north side, it is dal. If it goes towards the south side, it's sambar. But otherwise, I think it's the same. So great memories of that particular place. And obviously, whatever we have done, I have done, Meena has done, and we have done jointly. Great, fond, nostalgic memories and gratitude to IIM Calcutta and the professors. And nice set of friends we met there. 2 years of staying together for the first time in the hostel with friends gave us a lot of friendship opportunities. We are in constant touch with many of them. many of them now. Some of them we work together also in various capacities. But overall, a great experience.
Thank you, sir.
Really great having you, Mr. Ganesh. Your quote, I like creating, that rhymes very well with our channel. It's a fantastic interaction that we had today. Very good analogies and examples. We wish you more and more success as we go forward. You're really a great inspiration for the youth, and we hope your success motivates many to enter into this field of entrepreneurship and really help India become a great entrepreneurial society. We are very proud of you as our alumnus, and on behalf of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, the IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, the ECell, and of course, your alma mater, IIM Calcutta. I wish to thank you for being our guest today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my
Thank you, Ganesh.
deepest regards for the institute, the faculty, and deep respects. Really owe it a lot to them. And thanks for this opportunity to be able to speak. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.